AJ, quick question. Do you remember that movie Shazam? Starring Sinbad as a genie, bro? He had big puffy pants, horrible CGI, and those weird hugs.
Heck yeah. He had a giant earring,
Yeah.
horrible one-liners, and that scene where he popped out of the lamp in a kid's bedroom. Super
That's
classic,
the
right?
one. Yeah, man. Yeah, so that movie never existed.
What did you say?
Dead serious, bro. According to the internet and every movie database out there, it never happened, bro. Not once. Welcome to the Mandela Effect, my guy.
Wow. Well, this is Outspoken, the podcast with bold truths, no filters, just facts, or are they? All right, everybody, welcome back. Before we get started, make sure and smash that like button, subscribe to Outspoken, share the show with everyone you know, and hit the bell icon to get updated when we upload new episodes. So today's episode is about the Mandela Effect.
Yes, sir.
And there is some interesting facts about that stuff that are out there. So why is it called the Mandela Effect?
Let's go back to 2010. Most of you say like 2010, bro. That's not that long ago. Correct. 2010. So picture this. A paranormal researcher named Fiona Broom is hanging out at a science fiction conference, the kind with lightsabers, tarot cards, and probably at least one dude dressed as a reptilian. You know those guys, right?
I just like one every weekend.
There you go. Well, she casually mentions how she vividly remembers Nelson Mandela. Remember Nelson Mandela from Africa, South Africa?
Yeah.
Dying in a prison in the 80s, right? Not just the death, bro, but like the whole event, like the news coverage, the mass mourning, the riots, even the funeral. Then someone else said, wait, I remember that too. And then another person, right? They all had the same memory of him dying back in 1980, but they were all false events. And all
false
of them
memories.
They all shared it. So that's when it hit her. What if we're remembering a different timeline? What if we're just slipped into another version of reality? So she went home, made a website, and gave the phenomenon a name, the Mandela Effect. And just like that, a new conspiracy was born, one that made us all question whether our memories were broken or our reality is that. It's crazy when you start thinking about it, because here's the thing. You think about it, you're like, okay, the conspiracy theorists like yourself will say, well, maybe there's another reality. We're living or hearing echoes of our past or whatever the case is. Then you have those people that say, well, no, it's just a bad memory. But then you start thinking, wait a minute, how could 4, 5, 6 people have the same exact bad or false memory? And so you start thinking, how is that brain sharing the same glitch amongst a lot of people or a group of people? That's kind of scary right there. And again, so that's what the Mandela Effect is. When it's a large group of people, right? Not just 2 or 3 people, but a large group of people remember events or details differently than how they actually occurred in the same manner. Again, not a Fringe thing. I remember that show Fringe on Fox?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was a great show, man. It was like X-Files revamped. And
right.
I love that show. We want to talk about that today and really look at things and how they are and how is it possible that that our mind works in such a way that it fills gaps with, is it because we hear from other people and then our brain works in a way where it can't have any gaps, right? So it fills these gaps up with memories, whether they're false or real. It depends on like where we grow up, who we're around, things like that have a huge impact on them. Let's go down the Mandela Effect Hall of Fame. Let's start off easy with a level 1. So we're gonna go level 1 is being okay, I get it, to just, like a little bit higher.
Just basic brain glitches on level 1.
Yes. How many of you guys remember when Looney Tunes, that it wasn't spelled Toons? A lot of people thought it was spelled Toons, but it was actually Tunes, Tunes.
Yeah, and in my brain, I remember the Toons.
Yeah.
Because it was that circle with the Looney Tunes over it.
Correct.
And Porky Pig would be, that's all, folks.
Correct. And yeah. And so, but a lot of people think, no, it's tunes, like cartoons. And like, no, tunes as in music.
Music,
right?
Yeah.
So this is just little common brain glitches, like you said. Next one is Febreze. We all use that in our fart rooms, right? We have a little can of Febreze just when you have that one guest over that ate too many frijoles. Do you know that's spelled with the 1 E? I didn't even know that. I thought it was 2 E's, bro.
Febreze, right, is what you would think. Febreze.
Right, but it's only 1 E. And then how many people out there remember Kit Kat having a dash in between the kit and the cat? There's no dash. There never has been.
Yeah, that's so weird.
So, and that's crazy because these are just classic memory slip ups, right? Your brain just fills in blanks based on patterns and expectations because you would think that a word that's Kit Kat would have a dash in it, right? Because you're like, oh, okay, it's two words separated, but still one. Kit Kat. Febreze, common spelling, two E's. These are things that our brain just fills in, doesn't really look at it. Because even when you read it, I have Febreze in both my bathrooms, and just looking at them, I never thought to see that there's one E. Did you?
No.
No.
And I feel like I've seen a commercial that had the two E's in it.
That's our brain filling in the blanks.
Because at the end, they do the Febreze kind of
Correct.
thing with the logo, you know?
Yes. Yeah. But it focuses on other aspects of it and not the spelling. Our brain's probably saying, oh, it's spelled wrong. Put the D in there. I don't know. Okay, let's go up to level 2. Level dos. Now, this is going to feel off a little bit, but Fruit of the Loom. You remember, you've had them underwears. I know you had them chonies.
Yep.
Because you've left them around a couple of times. You know that they never had
toss them on your nightstand.
on the lampshade?
On the lamp, just hanging there. Just, good thing they're LED bulbs nowadays because the old bulbs,
God.
you know, they
burn right through those things. Do you know that the logo Fruit of the Loom never had a cornucopia?
I know. I've heard this, and that is so weird because I was talking to my mom about that, and she's like, oh, yeah, I remember that. And this is, you know, a while back when we first started looking into all the Mandela stuff. She was like, yeah, I totally remember that. Here's a funny thing, and it's become such a big internet stir that there was some lady that went through, I believe it was her passed away husband or dead husband's old wardrobe stuff. Mm-hmm. And she's digging through there and she finds an undershirt that has a Fruit of the Loom logo that still has a cornucopia on it. It was probably fabricated somehow or another. But the thing is people are so sure that this existed before that they want to find proof. You know, the truth is out there. Remember the X-Files?
Oh, yeah. Truth is out there, bro. But that's the thing. Fruit of the Loom has gone as far as releasing a statement that their logo has never had a cornucopia on it, ever. But you swear that it did. There's a question. Is our mind or brain filling up that, okay, you have all these fruits sitting there, there should be a cornucopia there? Did we see it because someone drew it? How could everybody share the same false memory? See, that's what gets to me right there, is that I don't understand. Here's another one. You remember Curious George?
Oh, yeah. The little monkey.
Yeah. He's never had a tail.
And isn't that funny to think about that? It's a monkey with no tail. And what is one of the most common things you think about a monkey? So is that what's going on with our brains? Is that you're thinking back of a childhood memory. You're taught the whole time that monkeys have tails. You see pictures of monkeys with tails, right? Having nothing to do with Curious George. Then you have a little Curious George book, and you don't think about the picture on it because you're reading all the stories and all that, but you're thinking about monkeys that you've seen in other books and things like that, and your brain splices that together and adds in the tail to Curious George.
Exactly. See, and I think the same thing, that monkeys have tails. That's one of their biggest features. They use it to hang from trees and whatever. And so when you see Curious George, your mind just says it's a monkey, has a tail. You know what I mean? Even though you don't physically see it, we put one in there with our minds. And so we grow up saying, oh, yeah, he had a tail. And then you look back at the old Curious George books and you're like, wait a minute, there's no tail. What's going on? How about the Monopoly Man? Everybody remembers them with a monocle.
Yep, I do.
I do too.
I totally remember him with a monocle.
He's never had one.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Isn't that crazy, bro? I feel like I woke up in another dimension. You know what I mean? How did he not? I swear, but why do we do that? Because when we associate a rich old man with a top hat and a nice little coat, we automatically put in there a monocle. Because that's like what a rich person to us would look like.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? That's my thought. That's my thought.
And here's the other thing. If you look at Mr. Peanut he does have a monocle. Yeah. So do we put the
he has a top hat too.
And he has a top hat
yeah.
and the cane and everything. So are we twisting those two things together? You know, and it's So here's a last one for level 2 that is. Do you remember the Bernstein Bears?
Oh, yeah.
Again, kind of like Curious George.
Yeah.
The Bernstein Bears. They were never called the Bernstein Bears. They were the Bernstein Bears. Bernstein Bears.
So our mind, just because that's a typical spelling of Stein, is S-T-I-E-N, right?
Yeah. So it's actually spelled Bernstein. Bernstein Bears.
Oh, wow. See, it's again our brain. That's crazy.
If you would have had me say, if somebody said, hey, those bears,
Bernstein,
family
Bernstein
of bear, that family of bears, we'll give you $100,000 if you can say the title of that book. I'd been Bernstein. not Bernstein.
Yeah, no,
Bears.
Bernstein Bears. That's what I know them by.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that our mind has done all these tricks. And what is that? What has created those tricks in our mind? So give us some level 3.
All right, so we're gonna go. Okay, man, it's gonna get a little crazy for you guys. Get ready. I swear, I've been saying this wrong the whole time. Sex in the City. It's not Sex in the City. It's Sex and the City. I always thought it was Sex in the City.
Me too. And that does not flow right.
Sex and the City. It does it.
No.
Like Sex and the City? What's that? It's Sex and the City. It's not Sex in the City.
So again, exactly what I said. Sex and the City doesn't sound good. It doesn't flow good. So did we all those years, because you're so used to the show or whatever. I know that was your favorite show when it was on.
Oh, I loved it. God, so much.
And did we just, in our minds, just say it's Sex in the City, just because we do change words occasionally, in the English language and make them easier to say. We cut off things. People in the South do that a lot, right? With different words that they use. So yeah, that's a crazy one. When I heard that for the first time, I'm like, there's no way it's Sex and the City.
Right. I thought it was Sex in the City because that makes sense. Yeah. Not Sex and the City.
Because all those girls were having sex in the city. I mean,
yeah, right. But but maybe some gal from Boston said it. Sex in the City, and it sounded like in instead of and. You know what I mean? Them Bostonians people, they're weird. Anyway, so yeah, that one got me, bro. I was like, wait a minute, are you kidding me? I had to look it up. I had to go look to my DVDs for my Sex in the City ones, and it was Sex and the City. So that's kind of crazy. Here's another one. Remember this one? First name has what? How's that song go?
My baloney has a first name.
Oh, SCAR. Yeah, it's Oscar. So it's Meyer, but it's spelled Mayer. I thought it was Meyer. We used to have it at the house all the time, and I still was spelling it wrong. I knew the song, and I was still spelling it wrong.
See, and I kind of sang it in my head really quick.
Yeah.
OSCAR. My baloney has a last name. Its
second name is Meyer. I always said E.
Is it Meyer or Mayer?
Now you're questioning it. Yeah.
Now I don't remember. But if you were to have asked me before I kind of sang the song through and before we knew this, I would 100% said Meyer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, bro.
Mayer.
See, that's what I'm talking
Mayer.
about. That's crazy. Now, so most of you Star Wars fans will know this, but those of you that don't, they're just like 2-3 time watchers of Star Wars.
I know.
You knew it.
Yes. Han shot first.
Yeah. Oh God. He did.
Oh, wrong one.
He's a wrong one. C-3PO from Star Wars. He has a silver leg. He wasn't all gold. Most people say, "Oh, he's all gold." No, he had a silver leg. That one I knew, but a lot of people don't because they just see his majority of him is gold. And they're like, "Oh, he's all gold." No. He had a silver leg. And of course, the quality of film back then was, this came back in 1979, so it's it's a little bit different. But he did.
And here's a piece of trivia. So what's really crazy about that, Lego and all these other things came out with it.
Yeah.
And what did they omit? The silver leg.
The silver leg.
So it was only in the movie. Piece of trivia. Which leg was it? His right or his left leg?
Wasn't it his right leg?
It was his right leg. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But here's the thing, bro. At this point, it starts feeling deliberate, right? Like someone rewrote the scripts and they're like, wait a minute. No, you guys are trying to confuse us and make us crazy. Like the reptilian people are trying to confuse us, right? Let's take it now to the final boss level.
Final boss
Alternative timeline buys, bro. So the first one we're going to talk about is the one we just opened with, when that's Shazam. Starting
Shazam.
That never existed, allegedly. I cannot find it anywhere. I looked for it. I Googled it. I went to AI. Nothing. There was one with Shaq, but that wasn't called Shazam.
That was Kazam.
It was Kazam, right?
But, you think about it, we would have never mistaken Shaq for Sinbad, right?
No,
like
at all.
And at that time, that was Sinbad's, like, the height of his time, right? Comedy and doing shows and stuff. Everybody liked him. So why would you have imagined some show that never happened? And there's actually a clip of him, and he gets kind of mad. He's like, listen, I'm the guy. I was never in that. Like, I never acted in that movie.
There was no movie. I mean, there's that new Shazam, right? That's out. But that's a modern one. But like, he was never in one. I remember, like, almost the plot, the cover art, even renting it at Blockbuster, bro. I remember how he looked in that genie.
Yeah, the turban and the vest and all that. Yeah.
Yes. But it never happened. So here's my question. How could So many people remember that movie Shazam, but it never existed. Isn't that crazy?
It is. That is pretty mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And
so
you
we're
know,
glitching, bro. Either we're glitching or there's more to reality than we think. There something is up with that, right? To think and to have so many people known it. Now, he did play a character in one of his I think it was one of his stand-ups or his show where he dressed up as a genie.
mm-hmm.
So there are pictures because I saw that. I'm like, I knew it. There it is. But it wasn't a movie called Shazam. He played just like a little role real quick, like 10 minutes. I don't know what it was, but he did dress up. I would have remembered that. But I remember the movie, which is crazy to me. And then the other one, of course, is the namesake, Mandela. Nelson Mandela's death in 1980s. Like, how do people remember that? How could they remember something that never happened? Right? Because he didn't die till what, 2013?
December 5th of 2013.
Yeah, 2013. Yeah, so he died 2013. From 1980 to 2013, that's a big difference. So
That's
how
a
did
huge
people?
difference.
Yeah, how do people remember? How was that a memory? So that's what. See, now that's the stuff that gets me into like, okay, what's going on here, right? So, is it psychological? Is it paranormal? Most experts blame it on like false memory, right? A shared culture and how our brains simplify information. There's still questions, bro. There's still weird questions out there. Why do so many people misremember the exact same thing? That's something we just talked about earlier. How is it possible that so many people remember or misremember the exact same thing? How is that possible?
I don't know. It's crazy, man. There's so many things. Like I was just looking up on the internet. So of course it shows like the Fruit of the Loom, the two different ones, right?
Yeah.
Where you have all the fruit, and then you have the cornucopia, the Looney Tunes, where it's TOONS, and then there's TU in it. But then you get into like Pokemon, right? Mm-hmm. And Pikachu, the little yellow one. Yeah, so even people that don't play that, they're kind of familiar with, the little Pikachu.
Yeah.
What do you remember about his tail?
Like lightning bolt?
Mm-hmm. And almost everybody said, what colors was it?
Oh, that's a good one. Is it yellow, black, white? I don't know.
So there you go. So Pikachu's all yellow, and almost everybody remembers that little black speck of paint on the back.
Yeah.
And there wasn't. It was just plain yellow.
What the heck? See what I mean?
Yeah. So it's just,
now you got me right here, bro. You got me right here on the damn show. You got me right here.
Yeah, it's crazy that there's so many of these, and so that's a really modern thing. So is Doc Brown and Marty McFly running around and changing the course of history, trying to defeat Biff, and taking over the world? Did somebody try to go back in time and
distort some of these things?
Yeah, distort things, and maybe, who knows, kill Napoleon or Hitler before they're born. And that's one of those kind of morality things that when you start thinking about it, if you could go back in time and kill baby Hitler, would you do it if you had that opportunity?
But it changes so much the course of the world when you do that.
Absolutely.
Because it creates another chain reaction that didn't exist back then, and eliminates totally the other one.
So there's a good chance you wouldn't have been born because of circumstance is why your parents... Huh?
I ain't Jew or German.
No, but there's a good chance you wouldn't have been born because all the effects of World War II and everything
correct.
changed, the outcome of all kinds of different stuff. Just like, here's a really big one. People that are here from the slave trade, right? The African American or Black Americans that are here in the country, most of them wouldn't exist if the slave trade hadn't have happened, right? Because in their own country, those people, because of starvation and all these other kind of things, they probably wouldn't have even been born, So there's like all these crazy things when you start looking at it. So getting back to it, it's like, what causes our mind to fill in gaps, like you said, with certain things, or completely change a vision around, like the Monopoly Man. Almost everybody thinks of the Monopoly Man, and you're like, does he have what side is the monocle on? What side is it on?
It's on the right side.
I think it was on the right side, or I think it was on the left side. And it's like, well, he actually never had a monocle.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what?
So here's the thing. So why do doctored images of the wrong memory often feel more familiar than like the real ones? When you see an image of the Monopoly guy with a monocle, you're like, yeah, that's what I remember. When in reality, that never existed. How do we remember that? How do we feel more familiar with that than we do with how he actually looks?
Here's another one. I'll leave kind of a last one for us. And this goes back to the C-3PO thing. So there is a scene, one of the most famous scenes in all of the Star Wars trilogy, quadrilogy. How many is there? 12-ology, whatever. So
there's 9.
It's when Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker are out on the platform, and he has just sabered his hand off, right? There's a quote, and here's the crazy thing. Now, we lost James Earl Jones not too long ago here. It really sucks. The voice of Darth Vader. He went on to shows, right? On to shows like late night and stuff.
Oh, I know
like
where you're going, because I've heard it too. I've corrected people on this.
James Earl Jones himself, they'd say, can you say that famous line from Star Wars? And he's like, Luke, I am your father.
Yeah.
Luke, I am your father.
Never says that.
He never said that in the movie.
No, I am your father.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No, I am your father.
He says the word no. He never said Luke.
Yep.
So if you're sitting there right now and you're like, wait a minute, I remember Luke, I am your father.
Because everyone says that. Everyone says the same line.
Even if you're not a big Star Wars fan or whatever, most people remember
I told that to my kids.
It's such an iconic film from that time. So how is that possible that, I mean, so many people, dude, the hardest core, and Star Wars fans are hardcore fans, right? People that have all the stuff.
You don't mess with them. You don't mess with them.
You don't mess with them, right?
No.
And you're going to tell them that he never said Luke, and you go back in the videos. I remember when I first heard that, I literally got out, I think it was a DVD that I had, and I got it to that section. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. He says, no, I am your father.
No, he says, no, I am your father. You killed my father. No, I am your father. Yeah. That's the same reaction my kids had when I told them that. So here's the thing, and these are theories, I'm assuming, but is this proof of an alternative timeline? Or even evidence that we're in a simulation, somehow glitch the system? I'm sure you've seen them out there where people capture, and it has to do with, I know it has to do with videos and things like that, but where people capture planes that are still not moving, or birds that are flying but are not moving anywhere. You've seen those videos, right?
Yeah.
So
like the Matrix is glitching.
Correct. That's the hardest thing I get. It's like, look, I get my brain fills in the gaps because the brain works that way, right? It doesn't like gaps, so it has to fill them in with some kind of information. But how could so many people share the exact same misinformation, right? So is it because through history, like the example you just gave us, everybody says it in conventions and movies and everybody, Luke, I am your father, and people just remember that as being the scene instead of how it really played out, where it says, no, I am your father.
Who knows?
I don't understand. Is it the fact that, people change the Pikachu to have a lightning bolt tail that has some black in it because they think it looks different, and that just became a norm people start seeing everywhere? I don't know. So this goes beyond memory. It's about cultural memory, personal identity, whatever we can trust of our own senses. Like, I feel like sometimes even our childhood traumas are going to fill in blanks.
But that's the really curious part to it. So we'd say, okay, you and I, we grew up in the same town, went to the same schools, and had a lot of similar experiences, right?
Correct.
Obviously lived with different families, and had our own life experience, stuff like that, but pretty similar culturally and everything because of the same city. And we knew a lot of the same friends and all that kind of stuff. So let's say we were even closer as far as our family ways. Let's say we went to the same church and our parents hung out and all that kind of stuff. You might be able to say, oh, well, those two guys, they remember that because they were so close and they hung out all the time and their parents and blah, 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 blah. But how is it that some random guy in Texas and some other chick in Colorado and, those three kids in Utah and the two dudes in Florida all have the same memory? Correct. It's really crazy. Another one of the real simple ones, when we were kids, what were two of the most popular peanut butter brands? Jiffy and Skippy. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
But Jiffy never existed.
What do you mean?
It was Jif peanut butter, not Jiffy.
Oh.
So
why do we call it Jiffy?
So when I said that, you were probably like, yeah, Jiffy and Skippy.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got some in my cabinet now.
I know. But nobody has Jiffy in their pantry at all. Nobody. They have Jif, but not Jiffy. So did we take Skippy and add that to Jiffy peanut butter? I swear, man.
Maybe Jif just didn't make sense to us. We're like, Jif. We just started calling it Jiffy.
Because when you're a kid, right? So this is my thought on that one in particular. When you're a little kid, peanut butter's peanut butter, right? and you hear the word Skippy, and exactly what you said, Jif is like, what is Jif?
Yeah.
That sounds weird. I either want Skippy or Jiffy.
Yeah.
And maybe our parents told us. But again, did the parents in California and the one in Arizona, and the one in Texas and Florida and New York and Colorado and Washington State, did they all say that same thing to their little kids? And all these kids have this memory? It's mind-boggling to think about that. So I know there's some people that are out there that truly believe that there's this huge conspiracy through the government to change all of these things. So they've snuck into our bedrooms, our VHS and DVD collections, everything, and they've replaced them with the proper videos for like Star Wars, and they've taken away the Shazam videos because they don't want those to exist anymore. And you start thinking about
kind of like the Green Lantern, which never happened.
The Green Lantern and Garfield.
Oh God! But here's the thing, man. It's bigger than
even Ryan Reynolds hates
Oh
that
yeah,
movie.
he hates that movie. So it's bigger than cartoons.
And you hate Ryan Reynolds.
I hate Ryan Reynolds. That dude's going down. And movie quotes, right? The Mandela Effect raises deeper questions about truth and perception. We've talked about perception and how that could become someone's reality, right? If memory isn't reliable, what else are we believing? Just because everyone else does? So the real issue here is, can reality be shaped when enough people agree? Think media, politics, and even history. If enough people say what they want us to think, could it change how we perceive something?
I think so. If you say things enough every day, it's kind of one of those deals
like Trump is Hitler, right?
Trump is Hitler. Yep. So
you say enough, the media says it enough, the left says it enough, politics says it enough, it's going to go down in history as that. So
right.
The Mandela Effect, although fun, because it is fun, it is also very, very dangerous, because it tells people, powerful people, that say, hey, if we change the narrative by talking about it enough, by showing images enough of altered images, that's what they're going to believe. That's what they're going to think. That's their reality. Our perception of the truth. I think it's a Mandela Effect is fun, like I said, but I think it's also a warning, bro. Truth can be edited, right? Deleted and even rewritten. And most people won't even notice. And I think that is something that we should take into account, especially now, bro. This was a fun episode. I want to make it into politics, but if we remember such false misinformation, what else is questionable out there? These are things because they're fun. They're simple things that all of a sudden someone started looking. I'm sure someone got on there and said, let's look up Shazam, and there's no such thing. If we look at the timeline, 2010 isn't that long ago, right? It was 15 years ago. That's when this Mandela Effect that's when it started. But you know what funny? It's funny about that in itself, Jay. I remember hearing about the Mandela Effect before 2010. Don't you?
I feel like I do remember it before 2010.
Yeah, but that's when it officially started, was in 2010.
Because I bought my last house in 2013. So, you have big life things that happen to you. And you remember those dates. Yeah. And I do remember the Mandela Effect because where I was working at the time before I bought that first house, I remember talking to people about that. I specifically remember. So that's crazy to think that it didn't start till 2010.
That in itself is a Mandela Effect, I think.
Yeah.
Right. So that's pretty scary, man. So I'm going to tell you, man, next time you swear you remember something that apparently never happened, maybe you're not crazy.
Maybe you're not crazy.
Maybe it did happen.
It drives us all crazy, right?
No, man, bro.
Well, this is, if you know, this episode would make Hecklefish super happy. So, all right. Well, before we get out of here, guys, make sure and smash that like button, subscribe to Outspoken, share the show with everyone you know, and hit the bell icon to get updated when we update new episodes.
Outspoken smash.
All right. Take care of one another.
And remember, do better, be better.
And as always,
God bless
God
America.
bless America.
We'll see you guys next week. Have a great week.
See you next Tuesday. Yeah.